Welcome to the first episode of Racing Through Life, the podcast where we explore the thrilling world of NASCAR and its profound impacts on our lives. I'm your host, Ellie, and today we are diving into the heart-pounding world of NASCAR and the impact it brought to our lives. To many, NASCAR is more than just cars going in circles. It's a cultural phenomenon that has shaped communities, inspired generations, and sparked a passion for speed like no other sport. From the roar of the engines to the cheers of the fans, NASCAR embodies the spirit of competition and the pursuit of excellence. In this segment, we'll hear from Christy, a diehard fan and someone who works in NASCAR as a producer and editor. Whoop whoop. So, Christy, how did you get into NASCAR, and did you ever think you would be in this job style?
Well, I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and studied journalism. And out of college, I got a job at the local news station here in Charlotte, the ABC station, and I was a producer there. And I thought that is what I was going to do for a career. But I had a hard time in local news. I felt like local news kind of focused on the negative, and it was depressing. And I enjoyed the work, but I didn't enjoy the subject matter. And there was a job opening at Speed Channel, which covered all different kinds of motorsports and like NASCAR and Formula One and motorcycle racing and Supercross, everything. They had a news program on the weekends that covered all those different motorsports. And so I decided to leave local news and go into sports. And then Speed Channel was bought by Fox and it became FS1. And I moved over to NASCAR Race Hub, which was a show that just focused on NASCAR. And the rest is kind of history. I was a feature producer there, telling the stories about the drivers and the crew members and their families. And I really enjoy the world of sports. I think sports are just interesting as far as what it says about our culture and our community and the pursuit of excellence. Did I think I would be in this position? No, because I thought I was going to do like hard news, but I really enjoy covering sports and telling the story of NASCAR.
So, I know we did talk a little bit on how you got into NASCAR, but I want to know a little bit more as to what you do specifically as a producer and editor with NASCAR.
Okay, so when I go on shoots, I'm kind of the director of the shoot. I have a camera crew and an audio crew, and I am responsible for instructing the crew what I want shot, how I want it shot. I'm responsible for if I'm doing an interview, if I'm interviewing a driver, I'm responsible for asking those questions. So you're kind of just like director, interviewer on a shoot. And then as far as editing, then I take all that footage back into my editing software. And, that's the crazy thing is like we might spend 4 hours at a driver's house and then that becomes, a 3-minute feature that airs on TV. So it's taking all that we've shot, all that content, and making it into a story. And I really do love that. I think it allows you so much creativity because, not only do you have control over the visuals and what the interview looks like and how it's designed, or what all the footage you shoot looks like, but you also are able to have control over the music and the edit and how it feels when you watch it. And I just think that is really a cool part of my job is being able to creatively tell these stories behind the scenes.
Have a big thank you to the sponsors NBC Sports and NASCAR. In our second segment, NASCAR isn't just about fast cars, it's also a driving force for diversity and inclusion. So, over the years, NASCAR has made strides in welcoming drivers and fans from all walks of life. So, Christy, since you work in NASCAR and you see a lot happen, and diversity is something that NASCAR looks forward to and has in part of it, how do you see diversity in the sport from your point of view?
I think diversity in NASCAR in the last decade has been really interesting because NASCAR doesn't have the best reputation for diversity. It was kind of a sport that was not inclusive. So, as a company and as a brand, they've really tried. There's a program called the Drive for Diversity program, and they try to get a diverse group of um, crew members and drivers to be interested in the sport. And that includes different ethnicities. It also includes women, and I think that's been very interesting to see people come through that program. And somebody who came through that program, well, he came through the NASCAR Next program, but was Bubba Wallace. And, my husband has been a crew chief for Bubba Wallace. And Bubba has also made a lot of strides as far as helping NASCAR kind of this transition period to a more diverse sport. He, um, during the COVID kind of shutdown, he did a lot of media to get NASCAR to ban the Confederate flag at racetracks, and not so that people couldn't show their Southern pride or whatever, but so that new fans, a diverse group of fans, would feel more accepted and welcome at racetracks. And I think that was a big deal. So NASCAR did. They talked with Bubba and they came up with a plan, and they did ban the Confederate flag at racetracks so that now, when I go to racetracks, I do see more and more every year, and different locations are different, but a diverse fan base. And I think it's great that we make them feel welcome and a part of the sport. Um, you know, and it's interesting watching the sport change in that way and Bubba be accepted. He is the only African American driver in the NASCAR Cup Series, and he was the first African American to win. And like I don't remember, there was one win by Wendell Scott decades ago. So he is changing things, and now we see more drivers coming through, like Rajah Caruth, and then you have former champions like Kyle Larson, who has an Asian American background. And so slowly but surely, diversity is like filtering through the sport.
I do see that. Fun fact with Bubba, he actually graduated from Northwest, so it is kind of cool to see his story going from high school. And the history of NASCAR did start in December of 1947. So going back in history, we see a lot of things that have happened and how it's going into the future and stuff like that. So that's really cool to see. Um, so from that on, that does end the episode one. We hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for more episodes coming soon.